Before we get started, check out the description to find out how you could win a Nano Ledger S. The price of Bitcoin, Cardano, and other cryptocurrencies have plunged, taking a bloodbath and wiping away more than $2 trillion from the combined crypto market and sparking a wave of insolvencies, mass layoffs, and the collapse of some major projects, such as the Terra stablecoin and its support coin Luna. So far, Cardano has been one of the worst hit assets. But it seems like the storm has just started for Cardano as Saylor released a piece of insane news about it. What is it? Well, be sure to watch this video until the end to find out. The co-founder and CEO, as well as chairman of the Nasdaq intelligence company MicroStrategy, Saylor just expressed his feelings about Cardano. He stated that he believes that Cardano ADA is a security. It is also worth noting that MicroStrategy has made it a priority to buy incredible amounts of Bitcoin. In August of 2020, the company purchased about 21,454 Bitcoins worth $250 million to use as a primary treasure reserve asset. He said at that time, "Our decision to invest in Bitcoin at this time was driven in part by a confluence of macro factors affecting the economic and business landscape that we believe in creating long-term risk for our corporate treasury programs, risks that should be addressed proactively." Since then, the company has continued to buy even more Bitcoin, to the extent that the CEO became a Bitcoin maximalist. MicroStrategy's latest Bitcoin purchase, which Saylor tweeted about on June 29th, reveals that the firm is hodling about 129,699 Bitcoins. In addition, Saylor has been boasting about how the company's stock is performing since it made its first Bitcoin purchase. Recently, he took to YouTube to express his opinions about proof-of-stake networks. According to the Bitcoin maximalist, proof-of-stake networks are securities and are therefore very risky. He was quoted stating, "My opinion is Bitcoin is a digital commodity. I think that all the proof-of-stake networks are securities and they are all risky. The regulators will decide whether or not they will allow them to continue or whether or not they don't allow them to continue." In his interview with the Altcoin Daily, he explained the reasons for the statement. The token is a liability if it is not a commodity. And so fundamentally, this all comes down to an issue of, can you establish your network as a commodity network? To be a commodity network, there has to be no issuer, no initial coin offering, no central organization, and if you study the history of Cardano, it is pretty obvious that it's a security. It checks all the boxes, so I don't know how you actually get around intellectually to convince yourself that it's anything other than a security. Being a Bitcoin maximalist, he is in full support of the coin. Saylor has been reported convincing investors that buying Bitcoin is better than putting their money into traditional assets like stocks, bonds, and gold. He stated that those who support sound money lose 98% of their wealth over 5 years because they chose gold over Bitcoin. But is Saylor's news about Bitcoin true, or is he just trying to make Bitcoin gain total dominance in the market? If this turns out to be false, then Saylor's interest in Bitcoin is quite obsessive. Well, as always, you can trust Charles Hoskinson to not stay still. In response to Saylor's assertions about ADA being a security, Hoskinson had likened Saylor to tone vase in the current market environment during an AMA session on July 15th. In the general crypto community, vase gained notoriety by deeming any digital asset other than Bitcoin as a hoax. He said Saylor has adopted Vase's perspective in several of his claims. According to the Cardano founder, ADA is a more decentralized kind of cryptocurrency than Bitcoin. Furthermore, he said that Cardano offers more usefulness than Bitcoin does. Hoskinson believes that Bitcoin's primary function is to serve as a store of value. He said those who acquired ADA aren't simply speculating like many Bitcoin investors, but are utilizing the token to fund different initiatives. It confused him that Saylor would identify a crypto asset with more applications than Bitcoin as a security, but is adamant about doing the same for Bitcoin. Charles Hoskinson added that arguing with Saylor about ADA would be irrelevant since the most difficult, toxic, and useless people to engage with are Bitcoin maximalists. He warned Saylor that his firm might go bankrupt if Bitcoin fails to return to its former glory. Digital assets that have gone through the initial coin offerings and hard forks could later pay off in the long run. However, Saylor believes that people who have invested at least $100 in Bitcoin can vouch for it, but others shouldn't have any opinions on it. He claims Bitcoin's volatility is irrelevant once one understands its fundamentals and how difficult it would be to create something better. I mean, in a way, Cardano ADA investors need to learn this from him. Bitcoin has plunged more than 70% from its all-time high of $69,000 last fall, resulting in paper losses of over $1 billion for MicroStrategy, which holds about 129,000 Bitcoins. but the enterprise software company has refused to sell. "We are here for the long term. Bitcoin is going to outlive all of us," he said in an interview on CNN, and added that "we are witnessing the birth of a new industry." He said that more than 100 years ago, thousands of oil and car companies were launched, but most of them failed. Lots of them went bust, 99%, but the rest is history. We have got cars, and the oil business is a huge business, and it changed the future of the world. MicroStrategy has been one of the largest public holders of the asset. Early this year, the firm borrowed over $200 million from a crypto lending bank to add more tokens into its stash, bringing its total Bitcoin holdings to around $6 billion. But as Bitcoin-related losses have piled up, the firm's stock price has fallen nearly 70% since the beginning of the year and nearly 16% in the past month, shedding to only $171. "We are here for the long haul. It's incorruptible, indestructible, programmable, and it lasts forever," Saylor told CNN. The sad story about Saylor is that he has become like a Trojan horse for the crypto space, and he's not even aware. This is what happens when you invest more than you can afford to lose. Of a true Bitcoin maximalist will always be for Bitcoin and nothing else, and this explains why Saylor thinks that Bitcoin is the only commodity. On the other hand, Charles Hoskinson has to defend Cardano at all costs, which means that they are both defending what seems satisfactory to them. But unlike Michael Saylor, Charles has used several opportunities to advocate for the entire crypto space. Hoskinson's claim to the public and governments will be the reason for blockchain adoption throughout this developing and modern world. In a way, Cardano could be considered a security, but that's just because how we test is vague and also outdated. Cardano is kind of like a tech company with its corporate structure. Also, the ICO is quite an issue too, but one can argue that the Howey test was established in an era when one didn't have security-like assets, which could also function as a unit of exchange. Bitcoin also does not have the added burden of being considered a tech company in the same way that Cardano would. It doesn't have a traditional sounding corporate structure, nor was it initiated with an ICO. However, Bitcoin has added elements to its network that are centralizing. Bitcoin is not exactly as decentralized as Cardano either. Projects building on the Cardano network make their decisions from the Cardano team. Bitcoin? Well, the cool kids have to ask you to sit with them. Charles Hoskinson was not wrong when he called Bitcoin maximalists the most difficult, toxic, and useless people to engage with. Bitcoin maximalists are not intellectually honest, and sometimes even get delusional. For example, when they thought Nano could be overtaken with hard money. Hoskinson is not quite honest as well, like when he said that Bitcoin is used more for speculation than Cardano. It is accurate that historically Bitcoin has largely been used as a tool of speculation, but that doesn't imply that it does not have any real-world uses like Hoskinson claims Cardano has. This entire ruckus is just the pot calling the kettle black. Cardano and Bitcoin are incentivized financially and legally to argue their case, but it's not intellectually honest to pick one or the other. The definition of what a security means is so broad that it forces any argument on one side to be full of baseless points. Until the SEC or the CFTC comes with a current definition of what a security offering is, it is lame arguing over what is or isn't. This will save you from unnecessary panic and fear. Also, betting against Cardano is just not the best idea right now, especially in this market downturn. But as always, what are your thoughts and opinions about this? Let us have it in the comments section below. And make sure you click on the subscribe and bell buttons.